Welcome, everyone. Today, we celebrate Manufacturing Day, a holiday focused on the reality and the future of modern manufacturing and the exciting career pathways available in our industry. I'm excited today to be joined by my colleague, Cameron Carr, who is the Chief Strategy Officer at Flex, and John Hart, who is the Department Head of Mechanical Engineering at MIT. They'll both be answering some questions about our industry and where we see it headed. Thanks for joining us today, Cameron and John.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So let's get into it. We've seen the manufacturing industry evolve quite a bit over the past 10 years. In broad strokes, where do you see the manufacturing industry evolving in the future? Let's start with you, Cameron.
Thanks for the question, Michelle. I mean, I think in general, manufacturing has just become a much more connected ecosystem over recent years, and I think there's two ways to look at it. Really, there's one internally to the company itself, and then there's one externally. So I think a lot of people will be familiar with some of the advancements over the last let's call it 10 years with as it relates to IoT. We're seeing a lot more robotics. Automation has been a major focus area across manufacturing, and now, of course, the ubiquitous AI word. So I think AI is sort of that next generation of systems and tools that are going to help all of those things become exponentially more valuable. For that to happen, they all have to work together, right? And so you start talking about data, the databases, the different types of environments that we have, especially in a contract manufacturer where you might have a number of different customers in one environment with lots of different setups and lines. Taking all of those things and making that data work together and being able to make that useful across the board, and then scaling that across the environment globally when you have a big company like ourselves is really important. So making sure all those things talk together is huge. And then on the second piece, there's the cross industry. So outside of our own company, this is a great example here. We're talking with MIT today, and the reason that is because you have so many opportunities to broaden our perspective. Not only do we work with MIT, we work with other companies that work with MIT in our relationship with them, and they're bringing us these new perspectives that we may never have thought about before, because innovation is moving so quickly that you can't think of all the aspects, and so working together will get you to the end goal sooner.
What are your thoughts, John?
So echoing what Cameron said, I see there's a drive for more connectivity, both internally within organizations and across organizations and supply chains. And to me, one reason is that over time, while we're always striving to make manufacturing more efficient and more technology rich, this is alongside of products getting more sophisticated and more complex. So a challenge that we see in our efforts at MIT or things we want to help industry address is how do you address that growth in complexity with technology, with know-how, with the ability to make change more quickly, and how can we as universities partner with industry, collaborate, and bring stakeholders together to have the conversations about technology trajectories, develop early stage pilots, and then bring the problems into our classrooms, into our labs, where we can help de-risk solutions and partner with the speed and scale that industry can only bring to the table.
And John, just to follow up, it sounds like so much of this transformation in manufacturing is technology enabled. What are some of the specific technologies and trends that are transforming traditional manufacturing?
Great question. And my list will probably be a classic list: robotics, flexible automation, in some cases, 3D printing, placing sensors within machines and across the factory floor. We're certainly seeing implementation of those technologies grow. But importantly, that's increasingly going hand in hand with ability to work with data, to gather data from the factory floor, to plan operations in advance, to even simulate manufacturing processes and arguably adjust on the fly. And we see the cases where new manufacturing means entirely brand new manufacturing, right? A new line, a new factory, completely from zero. Or new manufacturing means instrumenting and improving age-old processes. And there's huge opportunity in both contexts. last, I'll say beyond the technology and the data, I see big impact from improved ways to communicate and collaborate, to share data among people and organizations, to present work instructions, to learn on the fly, to be agile, to be lean with data and information that goes alongside the traditional manufacturing process. So you could freeze what's actually on the factory floor and just gather the information and communicate it better and archive it across days, weeks, months, even worker generations, and go a lot farther forward.
And Cameron, your thoughts?
When we talk about technology transformation, I'd say I'll come back to the AI comment I made a little bit earlier. So AI is just really that next generation wave that we're really excited about. And I think it's going to be a full, transformational wave that's once in a lifetime opportunity, but we still have a long way to go, right? We're across the board, we're at early stages. And you think about industries like banking or other industries that are much more data focused, right? They don't have that physical environment. They're moving really quickly because they don't have a lot of the impediments that we do. And so we're not only working with a data environment, we're working with a globalized data environment that has a lot of different types of data inputs, and we're working with that physical environment. And then you're talking about bringing in a supply chain, which is a totally external environment from our own. And so you're working with the data, but also the people that are feeding the physical environment outside of your facilities that are driving that. And so there's still a lot of challenges with bringing in the quality of the data, contextualizing it, validating it, and then connecting those physical environments to make it all work seamlessly. And so we need people to come in and help us to drive that. And the great thing about that is that it's driving the ability for people to have a little bit higher order jobs where they're thinking more broadly about new problems and how to solve them. They're thinking about those multiple environments, both digital and physical, like I was talking about, and the dynamics of the day-to-day scenarios, whether that's in supply chain, whether it's on the manufacturing floor, whether it's in us being able to get the best prices on our components as we see prices shifting. AI is really facilitating massive advancements in our capabilities around all of those things. So it's super exciting time to have those people come in and learn those new capabilities.
That's a really great segue into how this shift is transforming careers in manufacturing. The National Association of Manufacturers 2025 Manufacturing Trends Report states that new tech driven manufacturing processes will require a tech savvy workforce. What are some of the key skills that will be in demand as the manufacturing landscape continues to evolve?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I think it's pretty clear. Anybody could see that digital literacy and fluency is going to be key, right? I think with the more digitalized our environment comes, both on the manufacturing floor and throughout the entirety of the ecosystem, I think you just have to have those skills, whether it's engineering and to that level of depth, or just being able to use those tools as if it's something as easy as being familiar with tablets, or in a lot of environments I've seen, the virtual reality or augmented reality. All of these things are going to become more of a day-to-day reality in our world. So that's important. Robotics and automation is another one, right? So automation is becoming more and more important, and the robotics that go along with that. Again, as I mentioned, that's allowing our people to be more up leveled and have a more creativity, uh, reduce dangerous tasks and jobs, and repetitive tasks and jobs, which can not only be impactful on your physical body, but also mentally can become taxing. So people are able to move up from there, but you have to have the understanding of those robotics and automated systems underneath it. And then predictive analytics and AI. You have to be able to work with those systems if we want to be able to look at our machines and say we know when they're going to fail based on our AI tools. Well, you have to be able to understand how to read those AI tools and how to work with them. And so just starting to get a little bit more familiar with these kinds of things. And so you're not just caught like a deer in headlights, I think is going to be really important. And then, just more specifically on the soft skills, as I was mentioning, this allows you to be more innovative, but but it also requires you to be more innovative. You have to be able to think critically and problem solve. You're figuring out how to fix a problem with a machine or a robot or automated system, or change our AI tools to new scenarios. I mean, they don't change dynamically, right? We have to change them ourselves. And so those problem solving skills, adaptability, and then working across different lines, right? So it's even more imperative now that you have this red thread of digital infrastructure and AI going throughout. The supply chain all the way down to production planning to the shop floor to the logistics afterwards. We have to have that teamwork and collaboration. So if you're going to be in your silo and not want to work with other organizations, it's going to be much tougher in the future environment. And then finally, you just have to understand the business more, because when you get out of that silo, you have to understand how your component is going to affect the broader business and outcomes that we have as a company. And so that just better business acumen is going to be important.
Thank you, Cameron. John, I'd be really curious, coming from MIT, what you're seeing as some of those key skills that are needed as the manufacturing evolution it happens.
Well, I agree with all the points Cameron made. And one way we think of our manufacturing curriculum, honestly, whether it's for students on campus or students in the community college programs we're building or elsewhere, is in terms of hub and spoke. To me, manufacturing is this beautiful modular topic. And if you can balance core principles of manufacturing processes, systems, data, and people with domain knowledge, whether that's a domain that you end up working with right after graduation or you go in a different industry, you're able to connect the principles to the practice and solve problems, address scenarios, whether it's more on the design end or more on the supply chain end, in a specific context with those core principles. And interestingly, if you look across, MIT may be different departments or microcosms for different industries, right? Mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, chemical engineering. There might be different terminology, but when it comes to things that relate to manufacturing, there's a lot of the same core principles. And as technologies get more complex and maybe have more, different elements in them, we feel this approach of hub and spoke is very, very valuable. Along with, perhaps I said a moment ago, exposure to manufacturing practice. Increasingly, we want our students to get experience in industry through internships, but also even through factory tours in our manufacturing class, or industry speakers coming on campus and talking about problems or challenges they solved. And that continuous interplay, I feel, is really vital to fulfilling our mission as a university to help create the best talent to go on and be future leaders in industry and manufacturing and beyond.
You. Well, it's obvious that both of you are deeply invested in the future of manufacturing and the industry, but you're both coming at this from a little bit of a different perspective. John, you're coming from the academic side, and Cameron, you're coming from the corporate side. How do you how can both in academic institutions and companies better prepare students and workers for the future of manufacturing? John, I'll start with you.
Thank you. I feel strongly it is at that interface between academia and industry. MIT, from its early days, has been an institution focused on practice. Of course, our students spend time in classrooms learning fundamental principles and theory, but at the end of the day, it's about solving problems. And that's why MIT's motto is mens et manus, mind and hand, combine the theory and the practice. And especially today, working with industry is central to university's ability, MIT's ability to make impact, including through our initiative for new manufacturing, which we launched in May. And getting a bit more specific to this topic, I feel it's really valuable for university and industry to collaborate on training models. Now, what I mean by training models, it could be simply just our students knowing about the most exciting job opportunities or summer internship opportunities and seeing the breadth of opportunities related to manufacturing. It can also be more in-depth collaborations through applied research, through co-op programs, or as in one major program we're developing now, scaling out MIT developed training into community colleges in the United States in partnership with small and medium businesses as well as large companies. And when you think of how to overlap the incentives. So you have the source of the educational material, and then you have the demand for the talent aligned with the aspirations of the people who are working in manufacturing and want to rise, to a higher level, or not working in manufacturing, young or old, and want to experiment in the field. Then I think we can really excite that untapped potential, because certainly the talent opportunity is there. It's just those kind of gaps and incentives we need to align.
And then from the corporate perspective, Cameron?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, yeah, I will agree with John's statements in terms of the collaboration between corporate and educational institutions. I mean, I think for 100% certainty, I know if I'm trying to teach somebody something, I'm not going to do it better than MIT. We have programs with local universities in our Guadalajara facility where they actually come on site and teach various classes and upskill people inside the factory as part of their job. And so I think that convergence between the corporate world and academic institutions can't be overstated. And then I think also earlier in the career, certainly focus on internships, apprenticeships, et cetera, is something that we take very seriously, and we have a number of different programs around that, and co-op opportunities. I think John mentioned as well as another one, and that's both on the technical side and the non-technical side. And then later in career, you have the upskilling opportunities. The collaboration I mentioned with Guadalajara and local universities there is a good example of that. And then we're also looking at certification programs. We have online learning modules, and then that on the job learn and adapt. The partnership and mentorship in the actual day-to-day job environment is something that we also take very seriously. And of course, the Kaizen programs that we have are quite robust, and that is just every day continuously learning how to get better and make changes and facilitate some of that critical thinking that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So that's just a core mentality that we have across the company.
I couldn't agree more. As the global talent lead at Flex, I think it's really important for us to offer a multitude of different ways for people to learn and develop. Those can be through education, through experiences, and through exposure. We need to make sure that we are equipping our workforce so that they're able to perform those more versatile and complex roles that are required in this rapidly evolving industry. So, both of you have shared some great insights. Now, I want to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions that I'd like you to try and answer in one or two sentences. The first one is, if you had to address one misconception about manufacturing, what would it be? Cameron, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, there's a reason why I have my background like this. And that's because I think that one of the biggest misconception is these dimly lit buildings with old machines and dust all over the floor. The background that I have here is more what it really looks like. Very clean, well lit, lots of automation, really interesting environment that takes into account all the things I mentioned earlier about what's required from you as an employee to operate in that environment.
And John?
Thanks. If you don't mind, I'm going to give you two. The first is I think in some areas it's a misconception that manufacturing in the future will not have people. That we're going to have humanoid robots walking around all our factories in 2030. I mean, maybe there'll be some somewhere here and there, but manufacturing to me is about collaboration between humans and technology, and that's really powerful to also create more job opportunities. The second is sometimes I feel there's a misconception that manufacturing isn't happening in the United States. It is, and it's in every state and in many communities. But there's, of course, a long way to grow. And the U.S. is part of a dynamic global manufacturing ecosystem. Sometimes it's like, is it here versus there? But to us at MIT, it's about the whole world together, and it's about advancing the frontier and using manufacturing to create more opportunity for the world.
Thank you. So, my next rapid fire question is, what's a unique or unexpected job in manufacturing that most people don't know about? I'll start with you, Cameron.
Okay, this one I think is an easy one for me. And if anybody's heard the AI expansion in the world today, you know, that is driven by manufacturing. We have a huge business in delivering the infrastructure that is powering the next generation of the world, whether that be through servers, storage, switches, racks, the power infrastructure, liquid cooling, or any of the components that go into a data center themselves. We're delivering 80% of that. And so there are a lot of jobs around that, whether it's engineering, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's the integration of those things, whether it's the service of those things, that are quite exciting and are building the future of society and humanity in general. So those are huge opportunities. And then, things like controls engineers, those are also in very high demand. So they're designing, implementing, testing, and maintaining the automated equipment and the control systems that power that machinery and those processes. And so that's really high order, cool stuff to be doing, and that I think that are unexpected jobs.
And John, what are you seeing as far as unexpected jobs?
Well, first, it's important to state that the spectrum of jobs that benefit from knowledge of manufacturing is really broad. Like the whole product life cycle touches manufacturing, and in our students and our graduates, we see that their understanding of manufacturing from their coursework is valuable in so many engineering facing occupations, even if it's not working directly in a manufacturing engineering or inside a factory. In terms of like what's a unique or unexpected job, I don't know, like remote 3D printer pilot, like a remote drone pilot, but a remote 3D printer pilot overseeing a fleet of AI driven 3D printers where the people don't need to watch the machines, but the people are needed to unload the parts and to do the post processing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So, my final rapid fire question is, what is your one sentence of advice for people interested in a career in manufacturing? John, I'll start with you.
Find your favorite product and learn how it was made. And whether you're interested in manufacturing or not, that might get you more curious about what's under the hood.
And Cameron?
Yeah, for me, I'd say, the world is changing really quickly and relentlessly. So my advice would be the same for any industry, which is stay curious, stay adaptable, and embrace continuous learning because you're going to need it.
Thank you both so much for participating in this webinar, and happy Manufacturing Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Manufacturing Day.
Happy Manufacturing Day.